Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and I was always told I had a voice radio, so today I am showing you a very exciting new Venusaur card from the upcoming Shining Legends expansion, which will be coming out on October the 20th. Now, being a grass Pokemon means you're hitting Lapras, Lycanroc, etc. for weakness, and being weak to fire is a little bit of a pain due to the whole Volcanion Turtonator malarkey. The good news is, of course, that being a grass Pokemon, you can use Forest of Giant Plants. For now, we are expecting a rotation after the World Championships. We are expecting Forest of Giant Plants to rotate out, but until it actually happens, we cannot say anything for certain. Being a grass Pokemon also means you can use Lurantis GX to accelerate energy, and you can use the Promo Lurantis, which means that all your attacks will do an extra 20 damage. Yay! The retreat cost of 4 is massive, but then again, you've got heavy balls, so it's not the end of the world. Now, 160 HP seems like it's really, really good, but it's actually kind of standard now. In the Sun and Moon era, there's been plenty of Stage 2s with 160 HP. Think things like Dragonite and Solgaleo. And like I've said, for the moment, Forest of Giant Plants means that being a Stage 2 is not a huge problem, just ask Decidueye and Vileplume, but we are expecting it to rotate, and if it does, it means you're relying on rare candy, and it's going to make Venusaur an awful, awful lot worse. Now, Venusaur has just one attack, and it's a very straightforward attack. 2 grass, 2 colourless energy, 90 damage. It's fine. You can use double colourless energy here, you can use Lurantis GX, and we've got an ability, which we'll get to in a moment, which you can also use to get the energy on here more quickly. But at the end of the day, it's still too expensive, ladies and gentlemen. It's almost as bad as Charizard GX's attack. Now, I bring that up here just to make it nice and clear. I know I've picked on Charizard's attack a little bit in recent videos, but let me be clear. I'm not being mean to Charizard. I actually really like Charizard GX, especially the GX attack. Milling 10 cards? Yay. I am saying every time I bring that up, how has he got such a weak attack? That's not fair on Charizard. I'm showing love to Charizard, not hate. Now, the ability here is what we're really liking about Venusaur. Each basic grass energy attached to your Pokemon, by which it means any of your Pokemon, provides 2 grass instead. So all of your basic grass count double. You cannot use more than one of these abilities per turn, i.e. you cannot have 4 Venusaur out, so that each of your grass energy counts as 4. It's 1 at the absolute most. But this is still really, really good. It means all of a sudden that Venusaur's attack is for 2 grass energy, or a double colourless and a grass energy. And you might remember the Gardevoir from Next Destinies that had this very similar ability, which again didn't stack. And actually this Gardevoir got a beautiful secret rare in Dark Explorers, if anyone's into that kind of thing. Now, the Gardevoir didn't see much play, but it saw a little bit of play with Darmanitan. And as a side note, how long has it been since we got a new Darmanitan card? I haven't looked it up, but it feels like it's been a little while. Now, the other thing was, of course, that this Gardevoir did not have Forest of Giant Plants. And that could make Venusaur better here. And let's be clear, extra energy is always good. Look at Vikavolt at the moment, accelerating energy. Look at Volcanion and his Power Heater attack. Look at Lurantis GX, extra energy is good. Now, we're not really using this to attack with Venusaur. I think it's fair to say that Venusaur is not a powerhouse attacker. So the question becomes, what Pokemon do we have at the moment that could really take advantage of this ability? And the answer is any Pokemon that can take advantage of either grass or colourless energy. And we have a few, ladies and gentlemen. So, first up, let's go Tapu Bulu. Tapu Bulu is a really good Pokemon that has a really good attack. For just 3 grass energy, well, 2 grass and a colourless, but essentially 3 grass energy, you get to do 120 damage. And if you discard all the energy attached to Tapu Bulu, then you get to do 180 damage instead. Sounds good, is good. But getting all free energy on there every turn can be a little bit of a pain. Well, here you only have to get 2 energy on him. And actually you can combine this with Max Elixir. More on that in a moment. Along the same kind of lines, how about Tapu Lele? Tapu Lele is a card that you're going to be playing in pretty much every deck anyway. If you're playing a Venusaur deck, you're probably going to be playing Tapu Lele. And Tapu Lele has an attack that does 20 damage for each energy attached to both active Pokemon. So 1 energy, you're doing 20 damage. Well, wouldn't it be quite nice if for every energy you were doing 40 damage? Venusaur makes this a reality, ladies and gentlemen. Not to mention the fact that it means you can do the attack for 1 basic energy rather than having to find a double colourless. That's quite nice. But there are a couple of grass Pokemon that I think could be particularly good with this ability. And they both involve automatic paralysis. The one that I want to work, and this is a Pokemon that I want to work probably more than any other Pokemon in the game at the moment, it's Mega Beedrill EX. Now, Mega Beedrill is a Mega Evolution, but with Spirit Link it's not a huge problem. For 2 grass energy, 40 damage, plus instant paralysis, plus poison, with the added bonus that poison does 40 between turns rather than 10. And of course the new Survivor, link in the description, is going to mean that that can actually do 50, 60, 70, etc. between turns. The problem is that you have to have 2 energy on there, and then you have to discard them all. So maybe you can use Mega Turbo every turn, but it's just a little bit awkward. Well, with Venusaur, that's 1 energy. Or a Mega Turbo, which means that you attach an energy, do 40 with paralysis and poison, discard the energy. Attach a second energy, and so on and so forth. You can use Forest of Giant Plants to get them both out nice and quickly. Now, I know everyone wants to combine Mega Beedrill with Vileplume, but you've basically got to play Venusaur here, and I think playing 2 Stage 2s and a Mega, all of which need to be evolved up, is probably a little bit too much here. But for 1 energy, 40 damage plus paralysis plus quadruple poison, I'm okay with that. And yes, sometimes your opponent's going to have an escape rope or an Olympia, but they're not always going to be able to get out paralysis. And once you run them out of options, you are going to be doing very, very well indeed. I like Mega Beedrill with this. Not to mention that with the new Survivor coming out, you can manipulate the poison damage to try and make sure your opponent is KO'd from poison coming into your turn. So you take the prizes and then they don't get to attack because you get the next attack and paralysis and off you go. The other Pokemon I really like, which again is a Mega, is Mega Venusaur. Now remember, Mega Venusaur evolves from Venusaur EX, so you don't have the same evolution line going on here. But you've got 120 damage plus paralysis plus poison. The thing that always really hurt Mega Venusaur was that even with Mega Turbo, 4 energy is a bit too much. But that's okay, because it's now 2 energy. 1 energy, Mega Turbo, and you are off, ladies and gentlemen. Again, this is just really, really nice. It means that you get automatic paralysis, which means either your opponent has something to get out of it, or you get an automatic KO. Maybe these Pokemon are still a little bit too fiddly, I don't know, but you know what? It's got to be worth a try. And if nothing else, we're going to get more grass Pokemon released in the future. Now, it is an ability, so it will be turned off by Garbodor and Hexmaniac, and it's very unlikely at this stage Garbodor's going to rotate. But remember, we've always got Expanded, and in Expanded, you should still have Forest of Giant Plants. And I've alluded to this already, but let's make it really clear. Don't forget that you can combine this with things like Max Elixir and Mega Turbo, so you can accelerate energy with Max Elixir or Mega Turbo, and then they'll all count double because of Venusaur. This could get quite silly quite quickly. And of course, you've always got Lurantis GX. Now then, you're talking a stage 1 and a stage 2. But you getting lots of energy on the field really quickly, combined with the doubling up from Venusaur, you could have some very, very strong Tapu Leles, ladies and gentlemen. It could be fun. I'm going to have to separate out my scores for Venusaur, though. With Forest of Giant Plants, I'm giving Venusaur 4 Wossies, because you can evolve it up straight away, and oh my goodness, there are options here. I'm a little bit nervous because we've had this Sceptile for a while with Forest of Giant Plants, and it's not seen a huge amount of play, but this was attaching extra energy, not making all of your energy count double, so I think Venusaur is a fair bit better. Without Forest of Giant Plants, I'm giving it between 2 and 3 Wossies. We don't give half Wossies, that would be barbaric, as we all know by now. Because it's just too slow, it's not good enough. But it is better than Sceptile. So, tell me what you think about Venusaur. Tell me if you've got any other partners for Venusaur picked out. That's what the comment section is there for. Go nuts, be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter @TheWossie, and if you want to see some live PTCG radio, it's happening Tuesday and Thursday this week at 8 PM UK time over at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. And if you want to support the channel, you can do so at patreon.com/PTCGRadio. The most important thing as always, look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross and you've been watching PTCG Radio.